He's one of our favorite from the world of hoops and the NBA, ABC on ESPN, and NBA analyst, or ESPN on ABC, NBA analyst. Jeff Van Gundy. How are you, Jeff?
Yeah, good. Did you say Dr. Gupta said closing schools doesn't help?
Well, he said that they may learn, again, that kids can pass the virus on, but it's not likely, is what he said. It might not be as beneficial as we've learned, is what he said, and we'll know in a matter of days, not weeks, is what he said.
Wow, that's interesting because my daughter is in high school, and they shut down today. They have spring break next week. And then they are going to virtual learning the following week. So they're going to be off, about 17 days from the campus. And, they don't have any reported cases or anything. But,
right.
so I'm just interested in, what that looks like and how much it can help.
Exactly. And we're all starving for information, which is why, we put Dr. Gupta on the air, and also just trying to get as knowledgeable as possible because this changes so fast, so quickly. I honestly thought when the Golden State Warriors, to follow their local rule that they could not have fans in their arena, I thought, okay, that's the way the NBA is going to go. And then Rudy Gobert shows up to an arena and tests positive for coronavirus. And then they got to stop another game because an official that did one of his games the night before is in New Orleans. I thought, wow, now my eyes are totally open to this thing. I wonder what you thought in Sacramento. Pardon me that they canceled that game. My eyes were totally open. I wonder what you thought.
Yeah, so I went to see my parents in Florida, and on Tuesday we were at a spring training game. And on by Thursday when I came home, there's no more sports in America. I mean, that's how quickly it changed. And, everything from watching a conference tournament game with them on one night to a game being stopped in the Big East tournament at halftime. It's just, it's mind-blowing how quickly everything changed.
And so clearly the NBA made the right decision. Right? I mean, how do you think coaches and everybody else were thinking about it throughout the week? Can you walk me through whatever you knew or?
Well, I think, first of all, I think, everybody uses the term perspective so often, but I think most coaches, most players, front office owners, I think they do have it in the right perspective. It's how they earn a living. It's a job they like to do. But it pales in comparison to bigger societal issues like a pandemic. So the coaches I've talked to, they have no doubt that the NBA did the right thing, and they also have no doubt that this could change and go on for even longer. So I don't think they're feeling bad for themselves. I think most people in sport right now, and I think most Americans are, what can we do to help?
And that's where Kevin Love stepped in a manner that obviously we also heard Mark Cuban step in to make whole best they can all the arena workers who work on hourly wages and to make sure that they are made whole while this stoppage of play continues, Jeff.
Yeah, it's such a challenging situation. So, players have their own contractual issues that owners could invoke due to a pandemic, right? But the real people, or the people that are really hurting, are, so many of the people that have to report to work to get paid. And it's not just in the sports arena; it's in the construction area. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So, yeah, you feel for these people because they need this money. They need this check to live check to check, week to week, month to month. And, Kevin Love, very magnanimous, as was Mark Cuban. And I think more and more owners will try to do the right thing. It's to what extent, how far are they willing to go and for how long? Because while we say 30 days in the NBA right now, I think that's going to be an evaluation period. It could go on a lot longer. The season, there's no guarantees that we come back. And so for this season. So I think, I think a lot of people are going to try to do a lot of right things, but there's still so much to be figured out and so much unknown to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, this is a total unknown. I mean, I could sit here and ask you if you've ever been anything through anything like this. We haven't. There's been nothing like this. So there's no playbook. There's no rule book. There's just, I guess, in a way, fumbling for the light switch. And I just thought it was honestly, the Rudy Gobert testing was, for me, the most shocking moment. And it's not because it's somebody, famous or whatever, since Tom Hanks announced he had gotten it before. But it really was, a moment for me where I realized how this can cascade so fast. And I think it's dawning on Gobert, who Instagrammed out an apology today. And it looks like Adam Silver is going to reach out to make him or facilitate him being part of a public service announcement about taking this seriously. That's what it looks like, Jeff.
Right. And so what was stark to me was the doctor of Oklahoma City running out onto the court just minutes before a game started, right? I mean, I think having people in the arena and right before tip-off, they decide to postpone due to this. And listen, Gobert acknowledged his reckless acts, but we have to remember how young these people are and how immune they believe themselves to be to some of these things. And yeah, he should have and could have done it better, but he can help to educate now. And I thought his apology through social media struck just the right tone. He didn't try to, dodge his behavior or how cavalier he was with the whole situation, and wants to help. And I think Adam Silver can really, I think he can help a lot of people by having Gobert follow through with a PSA. And I also think, I'm interested in how Donovan Mitchell feels and how quickly he can get by maybe Gobert's recklessness putting him in jeopardy and his teammates in jeopardy. I think that's another interesting sort of subplot to the whole thing. But I think Gobert took the right first step by just acknowledging what he did wrong. There was no excuse for it, and he wants to help in any way possible going forward.
Before I let you go, Jeff Van Gundy, I'll ask you a question I asked both Jay Billis in hour number 1 and Michigan State's Tom Izzo in hour number 2. I'd love to get the perspective of somebody from the next level. The idea that Gino Auriemma threw out yesterday upon the announcement that the NCAA tournaments for men and women's basketball had been canceled, that seniors should get an extra year. The seniors right now, that their senior years should not end like this. If they so choose to get another year of eligibility, I wonder what you think of that idea.
I think it's a reaction in the immediate aftermath of a disappointing thing that occurs in these young people's lives. And I feel for all the college athletes. It's not just the Division I athletes. It's the Division III and II tournaments were going on. You have spring sports that have just gotten off the ground that now they won't be able to compete in their senior year. And while I understand the idea behind giving them an extra year, and I wouldn't be opposed to it, I also think one of the things you're constantly trying to teach young people is stuff happens in life, and bad stuff happens in life. And it's not what happens to you, it's what you do next. And so if the NCAA ultimately decides not to do giving the extra year of eligibility back to these, I think spring sports is different than winter sports because they didn't actually compete in get a chance to compete in the sport. I would have no problem with the NCAA saying, no, it's a bad thing. We feel badly, but you need to move on and deal with it. And for the spring sports, I understand why there may be an exception granted for that because they didn't get a chance to even play their regular season.
Jeff, thanks for the time. Stay safe, be healthy, and I hope we get you back on in April, and we'll talk about an NBA starting back
I
up.
hope it's basketball. Yeah, let's hope so.
I look forward to it. I appreciate the time, though, today. Thanks for the call. Be well. Your family,
you got
too.
It, Rich.
You bet. That's Jeff Van Gundy.